So I know you've been saying to yourself that it has been entirely too long since there has been another shark movie that's on par with the Meg. Well, the wait is over. Netflix is bringing their French fish-themed thriller Under Paris to the platform. So grab your dive gear and let's go chum in the waters. It's summer 2024 and Paris is hosting the World Triathlon Championships on the Seine for the first time. When it's learned that a massive shark is swimming deep in the water, a scientist and police force must partner to avoid a bloodbath at the heart of the city. Now, to be clear, the entire movie, it's not cheap or cheesy like some of those tornado-themed shark films. Here, the graphics are a tiny bit convincing at the start, and then it goes downhill from there. But we follow Sophia, the shark researcher who is drawn into a search within the waters of Paris to help track down a shark that shouldn't be able to survive in the water of the Seine. She teams up with the river police, and as they get closer to the shark's whereabouts, carnage ensues, and the whole movie turns into a thrilling and unintentional comedy. Now, I love the setup for this. The shark, it should not be able to survive in the fresh water, but through some overly dramatic exposition, we learn how it can be possible, leading the team to understand that they're now dealing with more of a super shark, one that behaves in ways never imagined. So this ticks all the right boxes for cheesy thriller action. We got the smart scientist that nobody listens to, despite her just having tons more knowledge and experience on the shark than all of the other people combined. There's the dismissive and semi-macho police force, full of hubris and invincibility, and just the right mixture of guts and stupidity to make decisions that are surefire ways to die. There's the image-obsessed politician. Much like the mayor of Amity, the mayor of Paris will not let anything get in the way of the city's celebration, neglecting all of the caution and advice given to her. And then we have the activists. They mean well, but when congregating together, they work to create an awesomely violent smorgasbord. And that's really where the fun lies and why we typically watch a movie like this. For me, I want there to be crazy and silly action with a bunch of anarchic carnage. And while it does take a bit to finally get that, we are eventually rewarded with all-out zaniness that have me laughing and fully invested. Now, there's one point when a troublesome character continues to do stupid actions, and it had me wishing for some chompy action to take him out. Now, I'm not going to say whether or not that actually happens, but we are rewarded with some spectacular violence in the latter half of the film. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty and answer that burning question. How are the graphics? They're suitable. Sometimes they're okay, other times they're very unconvincing. The one thing that is consistent, though, is the corny pseudo-drama that is attached to the shark and then the human's reaction to it. The water only sometimes gets bloody, even though the massacres are occurring. And it's one of those situations where you just don't question it and you go with it. We get to see bodily destruction, again, mainly without blood. But it is humorous and gross all at the same time, as people will come up out of the water and they're missing appendages, or even half their body. I mean, the wounds are gross, but they're shown so quickly that the effects and the makeup, they don't need to be detailed or even good. So they're not. The story has an inherent urgency to it thanks to the impending triathlon that starts within the Seine. So there is a set date when a ton of people are going to get in the water, splash around, and summon French Jaws to supper. Now, this portion of the arc, it keeps the story moving quickly, so there's actually very little downtime to get bored. And I'm not saying this movie is good by any stretch of the imagination, but it is entertaining and fun. There's a moment that towards the end, I literally laughed out loud because of some character actions. Then I rewound it so I could laugh at it all over again. When the police and the scientists are all racing against the clock to get to the shark, something happens externally on the banks of the river. The cops that are in a boat near the action, they rev the engine, pull away, and then make this quick tiny little circle and end up right where they started. I have no idea of the purpose. It was just stupid and it made me laugh. So brownie points for that. And there are so many other dumb decisions that happen throughout the film. At one point, with the boat, instead of racing towards people in danger to scoop them up and bring them to safety, the people on the boat, they just simply lean over the edge, yell encouragement to the people in the water to swim faster towards them. It's like the boat people forgot they had some sort of water vehicle that can travel way more quickly than a human can on their own power. Again, though, this made me laugh, which continued my engagement with the movie. Now, what's a little shocking is that the director of this, Xavier, or maybe it's Xavier Gens, is not a stranger to action movies or brutality. He's directed things like Frontiers, Hitman, and episodes of both Gangs of London and Lupin. For this, he does his best to capture energy, havoc, and action, But because he's reliant on such a CGI-heavy villain, the tone strays seriously far from chilling or terrifying and sits squarely in the silly and absurd realm. So here's how this breaks down. The graphics are unconvincing, there's massively inconsistent use of blood within the kills, the characters are overly dramatic and continuously make unintelligent choices, and the entire concept is pretty far-fetched. But the movie delivers exactly what it promises: wild and turbulent rampages, exaggerated tense situations, and moments that are over the top with absurdity, but are still going to put a smile on your face. The movie isn't good, but it is fun. So as long as you dive into this with the right expectations, you can get some good mindless entertainment. There's no sex nudity, a lot of profanity, and a ton of violence. I give Under Paris 2 out of 5 couches. It's not a dead fish, but it could begin to smell like one. So are there any absurd animal-themed horrors that you have just found fun to watch? I would stay away from the Sharktopus movies as they are just really dull, but certainly give Velocipaster a watch because it knows exactly what it is and it fully embraces the low-budget cheese. Let me know some of your favorites, though, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.